live.
Oh, hey Facebook, you caught me right in the middle wanting to change my hair. How are you today? This wonderful Monday. I have with me my wonderful husband, Robert, many of you know, and then my oldest son. Where are you going?
I was going to take that phone off the hook.
I got it.
Oh.
Yep. My wonderful son. And so I asked him to join me today. Everybody has challenging days. Today has been one for me. And what I really wanted to name this, my family wouldn't let me name this this Money School title what I wanted to name it. But I thought it was a pretty good title. It's indicative of how I'm feeling right now. So
maybe we could just skip past that and get to what we came here to do, to help the people.
Yes.
Well, my title says
we are here to help the people on Money School Monday. We, as a collective group,
yes,
are here.
They thought it was a great idea that they would come in and save me today.
Save y'all.
Probably save y'all. That's really what it was.
You know, some days you just get tired of just foolishness with, you know, people that you're trying to help. Like, there is nothing in me. This is like the third or fourth pastor today that I've spoken with that has said that we have a particular calling. And I was like, look, I'm nobody's, you know, apostle. And then when you look at the definition of it, and I was like, I just honestly couldn't imagine being a pastor every week, and you're for years that, you know, week in and week out, you're teaching the same thing and people still don't give it. Like years ago, this one of my friends sent me a video of a pastor who plumb went off on his congregation. Like, I could not believe
people
it.
Out.
Yeah, he was calling people out. He was just, I mean, I could not believe it. I listened to the whole recording with my mouth wide open. But I could imagine that's how they really feel. Mm-hmm. I'm not a pastor, and sometimes I get frustrated because I'm like, I show up to teach people, and then it's like some of them won't even meet me halfway. Mm-hmm. Like, and so today is one of those days.
Well, that gets into this point. I'm not here.
He's jumping ahead.
He's jumping ahead. Right.
Well, that confirmation from those 3 or 4 pastors earlier was motivation for you, because they knew it was going to be a difficult day. That's what that was.
To keep you on track.
Yeah, they were just trying to bring it to your remembrance, the call.
Well, I had 2 pastors call
life.
me and ask me to come speak at their church, and I told both of them no.
So you just need a redo on today. Mm-hmm. You need a Monday redo.
I you on the wrong day.
You need a Monday redo.
One of them said, okay, I asked the wrong person, I'm going to call Rob. Okay, whatever.
I feel like that does, maybe we should start with this.
No, I'm going to read, because I think this is a very good
That's a great point.
Well,
Andrew Young, actually, I read this earlier, right before we came on, and I wanted to talk about it as a lead into what we really are going to talk about today. And Andrew Young said this. He says, Dr. King and I integrated the lunch counter, but we never integrated the dollar. And to live in a system of free enterprise and yet not understand the rules of free enterprise, that's the definition of slavery. Mm-hmm. And so I think one of the reasons that I'm personally so passionate about what I do is because I understand what it is to feel like a slave to my money, but I also understand what it is like to be free from being under.
You've seen both sides.
I've seen both sides, right. And I think it's
when you're on the better side, you want everybody to transition to that side, and there's frustration when they don't.
Yes, that's how I feel.
Yep.
That's how I feel. Yeah. So before I start crying today, so I really wanted to invite them on. I had several points that I was going to discuss, but I wanted you guys to hear it from maybe a different perspective. And so, but really, that's what it's like. It's like when we, and I'm not talking about the major decisions. I'm talking about the the everyday little decisions that you make, not realizing that the little steps is what gets you to the next step, because every step is always about your next step. And so when people stop because of stupid stuff, it's like it gets frustrating, and they don't even understand the bigger picture of what's going on. Maybe it's because I do understand what's going on globally in the market, what's getting ready to happen, and then trying to, you know what I feel like? I feel like, I'm not going to call myself John the Baptist, you know, saying there's another comment. But I do feel like, you know, when the story in the Bible talks about the foolish virgins and how they were going about their day and they were shopping and nobody was planning, but there was one who bought oil. And so, you know, when the bridegroom came, she was ready, and then they ran over and was like, let me borrow some of your oil. And she was like, chick, please, you should have been planning. And so one of the greatest opportunities for us to build wealth, I feel like we're headed in that time again. And if we're not careful and we don't position ourselves, some of us are going to miss it all over again and have to wait for the next
2007, 2008, repeating
so
itself.
that's what makes it so frustrating. Like, for instance, you know, the Born to Multiply book tour. We're talking a lot about what's going in the marketplace and how you position yourself and all of that. And yet you don't come to the Baltimore tour, which was a great tour spot. But then I get a bunch of messages, you know, what should I be investing in right now? Well,
you should be investing in the book tour so you can get in the room to hear what you should be. That's
not what I was going to say. That's not nowhere close to what I was going to say.
So I'm the filtered version, right? But I think it's, if I could just say this, right, it's not a frustration that you have. I think it's a passion that you have. And if you didn't care, you would not be so passionate about it.
No, I'm
which is why
frustrated.
You're frustrated, but you're positioned to get where they need to be.
Yep.
The whole thing is, if you want to know the answers, then get yourself to a place of access where you can actually get some answers. If you're texting people like her that are busy all day, you're probably not going to get a text back. If she devotes time out and gives you the opportunity to come out and ask her a question, she'll be much more inclined to answer your question when it seems like you're much more invested in what's going on by putting yourself in the room rather than just shooting a text and her giving you all this advice to help make you money and you not giving back any type of investment in return. So if you're serious about investing in yourself, then invest in someone that you expect to invest in you. So I feel like that's just the bottom line. But when we coming back to this, integrating the dollar versus the lunch counter, I feel like it's so true because, you know, all of our people just don't really know, or some of them just don't really know how to leverage free enterprise. Like, we fight and we march and we do all these things, and then, you know, the laws get passed and good things happen, but nobody, you know, moves from there. It's like, you know, you get the right to vote, and then you don't want to go out and vote, and you don't want to go out and leverage.
You're operating as a slave in a free society.
It's like the invisible fence, like with an invisible with the collar, the shock collar. It's like,
say hi to Crystal. She's
hey Crystal, what's going on? Yeah, here I'm trying to keep everybody. Let's cheer it. Oh, I love you so much. But yeah, I feel like you can't get, you know, laws passed to get you involved in what's going on and then you not care enough to learn about them. It's like the whole thing where, like, you want to be able to have access to credit, like you want all these different things. Our ancestors died for all these different things, and then you sit there and you don't take the time and you do yourself and your ancestors the disservice of not educating yourself about the opportunities available in the market. And you educate yourself about those opportunities by going to events where you get that type of information, reading books where you get that type of information.
Yep. And so the first point one I have, if you want to know how people feel about themselves, look at their bank account. Money is the greatest measurement of your mindset. Wealth is less a matter of circumstance than it is a matter of knowledge and choice. John H. Johnson. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I feel like it's really self-explanatory. Like, if you don't value yourself very much and you don't value how much sits in your bank account. And we also, you know, touched on the point where, as you said earlier,
your wealth really is a product of your knowledge and your decisions, not just one thing. And so people think that building wealth is like one formula. Anybody who tells you that it's one specific formula is lying to you. It's not. And so you have to have the ability to work with several things in synergy. That's why mindset is so important, because mindset helps you create the space in your life to receive all the other parts that you need to implement. And so your wealth is a product of your knowledge and your decisions, not independent of your decisions. And so, you know, do you not have the right knowledge, or are you just not making the right choices? And so recently I just came off of an all-girls trip with my mentor, Marshawn Daniels, and one of the things, we were having a conversation about something in particular, and this came up, how people conference hop and they never implement the stuff that they learned from the conference before. And I remember the two of us years ago, remember how my church used to go down to that particular church in Atlanta every year, and we did this for like 3 or 4 years straight. And one day I remember walking out of the place like, I am not coming back until I hear what they preach about manifested in my life. I am tired of hearing people tell me that God wants me wealthy and I'm still living from paycheck to paycheck. Now, that was, you know, almost 23 years ago that we made that decision. And so we have kept true to that. We were like, we were not going back until we saw what they preached about in our lives, which meant I had to start doing something different. I could not continue. I don't go, when I'm in one particular mastermind during the year, I don't go to a bunch of other conferences because I need to be able to focus on what it is that I am supposed to learn that year and what I'm already committed to. And so I cannot remember what Marshawn called it, but it was so good about conference. Just becoming an information junkie, but you don't do anything with the information that you have. And so either you don't know something or you're just choosing not to do it. That's really what it boils down to it. And so choose what's feasible for you right now. One of the things that I never allowed, matter of fact, I can say it because one of my kids is sitting right here. I never allowed them to say, I know something. What would I say? You don't remember? Whenever y'all told me I already know that, and I was like, don't tell me that. No, you don't know. You do what you know. And so you do what you know. Don't tell me you know something if you're not doing it. And so either you don't know what to do or you're choosing not to do it.
I have things to say.
Go ahead.
Okay, because she's going down these points and I'm losing all the things that I'm thinking at one time. So I feel like it's important because, again, like she said, that there's no one, stay up here. There's no one specific formula for wealth, but if there was a general one, it would be that you're a product of your knowledge and your decisions. And I feel like even the wording is important because it didn't say you're the sum of your knowledge and your decisions. It's you're the product. And she always talks about the law of compounding and multiplication. It compounds. So your knowledge, along with your actions and the correct decisions, you won't see, a singular linear return like it is with addition. It won't be 1 + 1 = 2. You can take that knowledge from your conference hopping.
So somebody just asked me what's a good money book to read.
Well, maybe they haven't been on too many of the...
This is a good money book to read. Born to Multiply.
That's where you want to start.
It just hit the press. Sorry,
no, you're fine. But it's back to what I was saying, and it's so important because really it is a product. Because say you have a bunch of knowledge and you do no action, 100 times 0 is still 0. So that's why it's not the sum, because you can have all that knowledge from all those conferences. So if you have 100 units of knowledge, but you have 0 units of correct decision making, you will see a zero-sum change in your in your wealth. So I feel like that's why it's important, because you take the knowledge, and then that knowledge, it's leveraged. You leverage your knowledge through your decisions, and you leverage your decisions to their maximum efficiency by making knowledgeable decisions. So I feel like that's why it's a multiplication and it's a compounding effect. It's not just, a simple addition thing, because you having all this knowledge and not doing anything is still going to yield you a 0 result.
That was good.
Yep.
100 times 0 is still 0. That was really good.
I just wanted to key in on the first part, or the first half of that last statement, which is wealth is less a matter of circumstance. So no matter what your current situation is, don't let it put you in a position or allow you to be in a mindset where you do not think that wealth is possible.
Yeah, that's
right? Because wealth is less a matter of circumstance. It does not matter what you were raised in, what your current situation looks like. None of those things matter. It is more based on your knowledge and your choice or your decision. So don't be moved by what you see,
and
right? Because if you can see it, it's temporary.
And those are things that you actually can control.
Yes.
You can control how much knowledge you have. My grandfather used to always tell me growing up, you know, one of the things that we had to do, I'm such an avid reader, and one of the reasons why I read so much is every day at 4 o'clock, we sat down and we had dinner as a family every single day. And then after dinner, everybody at the table had to have something in their hands to read. And so whether my grandfather was reading a newspaper or my grandmother was reading, she used to love the NAACP books, magazines, she would read that. My cousin and I would have something in our hands too that we were reading. So reading was such a big part. And one day I asked my grandfather how come, and he was like, because I always felt like if you can get something up here, knowledge is something that no one can ever take away from you. And it's so true. When I walk in the rooms of Wall Street and people will, or even now when I'm sitting at a round table and I'm the only female in the room, let alone I'm the only black person in the room with these Wall Street bankers, they can't take away the knowledge that I have, which is one of the reasons that they feel threatened by my presence and being there, is because I am knowledgeable about not only their conversations, what's going on in the global market, I'm knowledgeable of my rights, what you can and you can't do. And so that's important. Knowledge is very important. And then so are your decisions. You have to make a decision at some point to implement what you know. And so one of the things Adam said earlier that I thought was so good, he said that people get the smartest when they are looking for an excuse to play dumb. And so he was like, they can think of stuff so creatively to make an excuse of why something didn't get done. If you just take that same energy towards getting something done, then what you came up with, this elaborate excuse of why it didn't get done, you could be further along than where you are.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like people just look at something and they say, you know, like if you want to learn how to invest in real estate, they sit there and they're just like, real estate, that involves so much, I don't even know where to start. Literally just start, like just begin. If you put in as much detail as you did with why you couldn't come to a book tour stop or why you can't come to Wealthy Revolution Live, when you're thinking about, you know, that one ankle injury you got from Little League that happens to be flaring up this weekend, that type of stuff. If you put that same attention to detail in you actually diving into something that will help make you money, I guarantee you'll start to see those compounding results.
And we really are just a no excuse family. We never allowed our kids to give us a bunch of excuses. If this is at the beginning of the year when we sat down and everybody writes out their vision, if this is what you say you want to do, then we're going to put all the effort. Everybody in the family is going to get behind that person to help them become successful. But you cannot come back to us. What did your old teacher used to say, Miss Mitchell? Excuses are nothing more than reasons wrapped up in lies. And so if you come back with an excuse of why you didn't do something, that was just unacceptable to us. Absolutely. Point number 2, abundance is your destiny.
You got to get a hold of that.
You got to get a hold of that. Abundance is your destiny. But I got a point I want to make after that. Rid yourself of the poverty mentality. Money goes wherever it is welcomed. Money goes wherever it's welcome. And so decide that you will be a good money master of the money that you currently possess right now. And as a result, more money will be added to you. And so although abundance may be your destiny, you have a part in it too. Listen, the promised land was Moses' destiny. Moses was the one that was supposed to originally enter into the promised land. But he didn't follow the plan, and because he didn't follow the plan, he could see it, but he was never able to enter into it. And so that's why you got, even though abundance and wealth, the Bible says that riches and wealth will be in my house. We know that, we hear that. I'm not sure if most of us believe it, because we would we would align that with our actions if we truly did. Abundance is your destiny, and so you really do. Everything else should be lining up with that.
I feel like it just goes back to that first point of, to live in a system of free enterprise and yet not understand the rules of free enterprise. That's the definition of slavery. They're counting on you not going out and educating yourself and understanding and getting to where that opportunity is. It says money goes wherever it is welcomed. You don't know where it's welcomed, and you're not making an effort to get to know where it's welcomed. By watching these, you're starting to understand, okay, this is where you can multiply your money at through these asset classes, doing this, that, and the other. but you're not making the effort to go there. You know, God gave them the promised land full of milk and honey. He didn't say, wait right where you are and I'm going to build the promised land under your feet. He said, no, you got to go through here, over there, take a left, and then you'll end up at the promised land. He didn't say, sit here and now you know the promised land is available, but you don't have to do anything about it. Yeah. He said he gave them the knowledge, and then they had to make the right decision.
Why are you yelling at me?
And have some fortitude, right? They wandered for 40 years before they made it there. And some people don't want to work a business for 40 days.
Mm-hmm. All they want to know is, what's I invested now? Right. What is this? What's hot? You need to take the time to make the decision. You have to make the time to make the decision. Because again, like they tell you like where the money's at. They're just counting on the establishment, you know, whoever you want to blame. They're counting on the fact that you will not go through what is necessary to seek that knowledge and figure it out.
I cannot tell you how many times I'll never forget this. I was in a meeting and we were in a building construction process. Actually, I was in a meeting with my pastor and I caught an error by one of the contractors, and it was an $80,000 error. And he literally said out of his mouth, "You weren't supposed to catch that." Like we were a bunch of, you know, African American idiots sitting around the table, and you know there were 3 Caucasians all on his team there. Like we weren't supposed to be smart enough.
Understand free enterprise.
Yeah, understand free enterprise. And one thing I do know is money. So there's a lot I don't know, but that's one thing I do know. I can add and multiply. But when Adam talked about understanding the rules of free enterprise in chapter 8 of my book, I'm not going to get into it here, but I talk about the rules of the game. And one of the things that is so important, as I say, is what's your score on the scoreboard. And most people get in the game of money and don't even understand that a game is being played every single day. Every advertisement that you see on the billboard, every commercial that you see, every commercial that comes up on Facebook, Instagram, you know, the text messages that come up with you. Listen, everybody is playing the game of money every single day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. They are playing the game of money. And so this is what we do. We sit on the sideline. We know a game is been, some of us don't even know a game is
outside
being played.
The stadium.
But you outside the stadium, you never get a ticket to come in, but not even just come in, because some of you get a ticket to come into the game, but you either want to sit in the bleachers or you want to sit in the sideline, and you never get in the game. But listen, the coach is only going to put the person in the game that knows how to run the plays. If you do not learn how to run the plays, nobody is going to ever put you in the game, ever.
Or you can jump in the game, you don't know the rules.
You don't know the rules, but they're going to take you right. They're going to take you right back out of the game again. One of the biggest things, when my son years ago first started playing football at Penn State, my husband stayed on him every week. Have you been learning the plays? Are you reading your playbook? Are you reading the playbook? Have you learned the playbook? Because nobody's going to put you in the game if you don't know how to run the plays. But in chapter 8, where I talk about the game of money, the rules of the financial game, it says, what's your score on the scoreboard? It's important that you learn how to read the scoreboard. That's why this book, this section is called The Game, the Scoreboard, and the Playbook. Listen, in every game there is a scoreboard. In every game there is a playbook for the game. And you gotta learn what that playbook is. And so
they're counting on you not taking the time to learn. They're counting on you
not taking the time to learn the playbook. That's how some people get in car loans. Listen, Abundance Attraction is a program that I think absolutely everybody, I don't care how much money you make, that is a program for $127 a month. What? I did that program for everything that I wish somebody would have told me before I left for college. How to go and pick out the right loan for me. What percentage of we go over so much. It's such an financially educational, rich program. It really is. But anyway, I'm going to move on.
I can't remember what the two terms are. I was trying to look it up, but it's basically there are like actualists and then there are normalists. So there are people who believe this society should be a certain way, and they're like, listen, we need to change it. It should be like this. It isn't what it should be. And then there are people that accept it for what it is, and they leverage what it is at that point. You need to change from being the person who's like, oh, this is what it should be. The wealthy should be paying taxes. You know, everyone should have access to this. It should be easy for everyone to do that. You need to change. Trump shouldn't be in office. Look, the election is over, and they're not going to go back and put Hillary in office. No one cares about what should have happened at this point, or you shouldn't care. You need to be an actualist and take what life has given you at this point and leverage that to its fullest. So you can't sit there and be complaining about the rules of the game. Learn the rules of the game and leverage them for your biggest benefit. People get angry when Mitt Romney's tax returns come out and he pays hardly anything in taxes. If someone came up to you right now and said, would you want to pay taxes if you don't have to? Nobody would pay taxes if they didn't have to. You're just too lazy to go out and figure out how you can save money on paying taxes. And that's the whole thing, is that you can't be mad if you're playing a game of one-on-one basketball and you're playing the game with one arm tied behind your back, and somebody's playing games with two arms and you're wondering why they're scoring more points. Yep. They're scoring more points because you don't even know what's available for you. So I feel like you have to take the time again to learn what's available and stop complaining about, how things should be, and leverage what they actually are for your biggest benefit. Who cares if there's a trade war going on? Figure out how to leverage a trade war.
Listen, the market has been crazy. We're not sitting in my house crying because the market, someone called me the other day. My 401k is taking a hit. Well, you know what? I've done, I don't know how many money schools on busting the myth behind the 401k, but that's another day. I want to move on because we don't have too much longer to go.
I don't think you're going to make it through all this.
I'm not. And so I'm just going to go through the third one, and then we can continue next week then. The poor keep score by cars and clothes. The middle class keeps score by degrees and titles, but the wealthy keep score by their bank accounts and their portfolio assets. And so right now, even when we look at, and Adam, I know you're going to jump in here, even when we look at what's really going on in the market, listen, stop listening to the news broadcasters. Number one, they don't know what they're talking about. They're just reading stuff. They're standing in front of a green screen and they're reading stuff, and that's it. They don't go into detail, but not everybody is losing money. And so we have to get to a point, what I'm really working, there's a reason why my live event every year is called the Wealthy Revolution. And I don't even know if people really get what I'm trying or attempting to do, but I really am attempting to start a revolution. And a revolution only happens when something's being done to a group of people that they feel are unjust, and then they get pissed off and they stand up and they want to fight for their rights, but they first got to know what their rights are. And so when they know, okay, this is unjust, the reason that the United States of America is no longer a part of England is because we got tired of all of England's rules, and we decided that we wanted our own freedom. So at the Boston Tea Party, we decided we did not want to pay taxes to England anymore. So what did we do? We revolt. We revolted, and that is the same thing that we should be doing with our money. We're tired of debt. We're tired of the planned poverty that this system has put us in. We got to wake the hell up and stop falling into their traps. Yes, I did say hell.
And pissed.
And pissed. Yeah. I said that too. But I'm frustrated because every day that I get up, I'm passionate. Okay, I'm going to change my language. I'm passionate about this because every day that we get up is another day of opportunity for us to do something different. And when we don't do something different, it's a missed opportunity. Yeah. And listen, they win. Poverty is planned. There are laws right now being designed to keep us in poverty. There are laws right now that the Koch brothers are trying to get passed so he can take the middle class. I wish I had something and just squeeze it. I don't have anything close to me. He just wants to squeeze the life.
Don't squeeze it. He
wants to squeeze the life out of the middle class. I mean, listen, I had this conversation today who made a comment about people not wanting to give or whatever. And I was like, no. Everybody is not like that. But when you look at salaries have been stagnant for the past 4 to 7 years, you look at the cost of inflation. When I go to the grocery store, what I used to pay $250 for now costs me $400 or $500. People aren't paying attention to that. You cannot.
CPI numbers come out tomorrow, by the way, tomorrow morning.
They don't know what CPI numbers
are. The Consumer Price Index. It tells you basically how much something costs now in relation to how much it costs like 20 years ago, but it normalizes it. So that
and I always say there are 3 invisible hands that are in people's wallet, and we don't pay attention to it. Taxes, inflation, and debt. You can't do anything about the 2. Well, you can do something about taxes. You can find out what, Mitt Romney and, all the other people that hardly pay.
Cash flow quadrant. Go get the cash flow quadrant.
Jeff Bezos. Well, that doesn't really talk about taxes the way that it should. But anyway, I'm not here to talk about taxes. But anyway, figure out what that is. But you got 100% control over your debt. So listen, the economy is coming to a point where it's going to reset itself. But you guys got to get out of debt. You have to get out of debt. I'm so tired of teaching about getting out of debt. I don't know what to do. Like, I want to be able to jump on here where when I walk on the stage at Wealthy Revolution Live, that everybody is at the same mindset, the same space where we can just start teaching. If I teach you now how to invest on a bigger level, if you don't know how to master your money on the level that you're on, you'll just have a bigger mess on your hands. And so that's why it's important that we got to start running this race, guys. Stop playing like you running it and really run the race, because poverty is planned. It's planned. They have no plan to get out and help you. If the United States can't even get themselves out of debt. Like, did you see the article that came out today on the debt in August alone? August 2019 the national debt is going to increase by 27%. That's almost a 30% increase in the national debt. And then when we look at the month of September, they don't even know if they're going to be able to continue to pay the interest-only payments on the debt of the United States of America, because China is out to bankrupt America. Like, 45 has pissed China off, made China mad, and China's like, who's your daddy? So they're playing gangster chess moves on us now.
And Trump playing checkers.
And Trump playing checkers. And then the regular Americans, we out here, we worried about Beyonce tickets, and Janet Jackson only got 3 more shows in Vegas and all that stupid stuff, when you should be strategizing and planning your next move. What is my next move where wealth is concerned? And so...
knowledge and a choice, right? It goes back to rule number 1. Knowledge. You have to acquire knowledge. Don't just be an information vacuum, though, right? It's time to apply
the information that you have. And the whole thing, again, that we briefly touched on, but need to touch on more, is the fact that people always say, okay, well, what decision do I make? You make whatever decision is easiest to make with the time you have, the money you have, and the resources at your disposal. So you have that information. It doesn't matter if you know about some valuable investment going on in space. You don't have the money to pay Elon Musk to get to space. So cross that off your list and come back to it later.
I'm not saying, come back to it later. I'm never one that says, don't dream about that. I am a big dreamer. One of the things that when we were working, Zoe, I have 3 children. Somebody just wanted to know how many kids do I have. I have 3 children. Not sure what that has to do with this conversation right now. But before my daughter was born, when it was just my 2 sons, they were very young. One of the things that we would tell them, especially when we were building, my kids have never ever heard me say that I could not afford anything. Have you ever heard us say? Never. We never had that as a part of our language. When we were building, it was always, I am not telling you no. I'm just saying, just not right now. Just not right now. And I always made sure that I went back and I got whatever they were asking for once we were finished with a particular investment and some things were freed up. Then I would go back and get them exactly what they asked for, because I think it's important that you honor your word with your kids. Honor your word with anybody. But for me, it was really important that I honored my word with my kids. And so what he's saying, maybe today you don't have money to invest with Elon Musk to go into outer space. But listen, there's a whole lot of difference that 1 year can make. There's a whole lot of difference that 2, 3, 4, 5 years can make. And so, but you got to stay in motion and know what goals what vision you're running towards, so you can begin to start checking stuff off. That's what we're trying to say.
Yep. It's almost like building a house, right? You don't start from day one putting the roof on. You have to build the foundation. It has to be a base knowledge.
You got to clear the land.
Yep.
Yeah, you got to clear the land.
Which means getting rid of all them old root systems and things that you've been taught that are unprofitable to your house.
That's right. That don't work in today's economy. I think about what we did when we was building this house. And so they came in, they cleared the land. Then they put a road in. They put a path. They gave us access. Listen, building a house is financially prophetic.
Yes, it is.
You know, because you take the same process. And so once you clear the land, you get rid of all that old mindset garbage that doesn't
deep
work.
Roots that need to go away.
And then you get taught and you come up with a plan. Then you got to dig the foundation out. You got to dig the foundation. Listen, you have to dig a strong foundation where your money is concerned, because wealth is weighty. I don't care what nobody says. There is a weight that comes along with being wealthy. Ask me how I know. There's a weight that comes with it, and your foundation has to be able to withstand that. When you get more money, it doesn't mean you don't have less problems or things don't come up or challenges don't come up. The enemy don't want you wealthy.
And part of building that foundation is being informed, right? That ties back to abundance attraction. That ties back to constantly feeding yourself. If you want to know, it goes back to what you said before. If you want to operate in the game, you got to know the rules of the game. So part of building that foundation is acquiring the knowledge to be able to operate in any market.
In any market.
The investment that pays the greatest dividends is investing in yourself.
Knowledge. Yep. That was by Franklin. Didn't he say that? Benjamin Franklin?
Yep.
Okay, guys. Thank you so much for allowing us to share your time with you today. We appreciate it. And you guys gonna join me next week?
I'll be here all the time.
We can go ahead and finish this. Yep, because we have more to finish, but we are out of time. So anyway, love you guys. Thank you.
Bye.
See you later.